Ram 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 Hare Hare. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudha Chaitanya Prabhu. It's my great fortune. I am here. I was supposed to take this session before Janmashtami. No? Yeah. But some of the schedule got upside down. So now we are here. So this section is of Puranjan section. So very interesting. So we'll start with a bhajan. Shanagati is introduction bhajan. Okay. So I won't sing, some of you can sing. Yeah.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jivedoya Kori Swaparshada Sviya Dhama Saha Avatari
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Daya Kari Swapashasya Dhama Sahavatari.
Atyanta Durlabha Prema Koribare Dana Sikhaya Sharanagati Bhakatera Prana
Atyanta Durlabha Prema Karibare Dana Sikhaya Shanagati Bhakatera
Danya Atmani Vedana Goptritve Varana Avashya Rakshibe Krishna Vishwasa Palana
Dhane Atmani Vedana Goptrite Bhavana Avashya Rakhibe Krishna Vishwasa Palana
Bhakti Anukula Matra Karyere Svikara Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Varjanangikara
Bhakti Anukula Matra Kareye Swakara Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Vrajana Angikara
Sadanga Sharanagati Hoi Bejahara Tahara Prarthana Sune Shri Nanda Kumara
Shadanga Sharnagati Hoi Bejahara ताहारा प्रार्थना सुने श्री नंद कुमार
रूप सनातना पदे दंते तृणकोरी भक्ति विनोद पड़े दुहु पद धोरी
रूप सनातना पदे दंते तृणकोरी भक्ति विनोद पड़े दुहु पद धोरी
कांदिया कांदिया बोले आमी तो अधमा सिखाए शरणागति करो हे उत्तमा
कांदिया कांदिया बोले आमी तो अधमा शिखाया शरणागति करो हे उत्तमा
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय श्रील भक्तिनाथ ठाकुर जी की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभयेव च Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. So I am very happy to be here, and we are so fortunate by Srila Prabhupada's mercy we get this opportunity to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. Although every day we have classes on Srimad Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya, but Srila Prabhupada wanted that all of us should very scrutinizingly study Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Prabhupada always encouraged his disciples and devotees to pursue Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedant, Bhakti Sarvabhaum. And you must be very surprised, pleasantly surprised. His Holiness Japataka Swami Maharaj is still pursuing Bhakti Sarvabhaum, even at this stage. Although he has read Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat 108 times. Just see his enthusiasm, see his physical condition and enthusiasm. Even at this stage, he is pursuing Bhakti Sarvabhaum. So that should give us a lot of inspiration. So Srimad Bhagavatam is said to be Amal Puran, and Sanatana Goswami says each and every letter of Srimad Bhagavatam showers prem. Okay. So but we see but in Srimad Bhagavatam there are so many episodes. We don't feel that each and every word is showering prem. We don't feel like that. So Srimad Bhagavatam gives us Srimad Bhagavatam clearly defines what should be our real purpose of life and how should we pursue that purpose. Now in pursuing that purpose, there may be many distractions. And the main distraction is our bodily conception of life. So this episode of Puranjan is in a way a story of all of us. Okay, we all know King Puranjan's story, you must have read it before also. So Puranjan means one who tries to enjoy in this body. Jayati Puran, and by his activities he creates another body in search of happiness, in search of bliss. So this is the story of all the conditioned souls. Okay. So how that Puranjan gets entangled and how he meets a devotee and how he then starts pursuing his real purpose of life. So this is very instructive story, and this shows the preaching skill of Narad Muni, and this also shows how much we should be alert in using our mind and intelligence while we are in this material world. So many distractions are there, and our intelligence may get attached to some of those distractions, and we may get deviated from the purpose of our life. Okay, so with that mindset, we should try to study this episode, especially Srila Prabhupada's purpose. It's not that Narad Muni is telling this story to Prachin Bharishad, so we are just listening. It's not it's an allegorical story. It's not a real story, the Puranjan story. Allegorical story, indirectly is preaching, but it's not a myth. It's a reality. It's a story of all of us in a way. So with that mindset, we should try to understand, and then we're able to relate it better. How I am getting distracted. Getting distracted is not such a big problem because the material world is full of distractions. But after getting distracted, we should not get deviated. So once we got distracted, we should come back on the path. So like Prachin Varishad comes back on the path. So similarly, we also get distracted. It's a like routine affair. We are on the way, and then sometimes we get distracted. Again, we come back. So that way, the distraction should not lead to deviation, right? So we'll start with 25th chapter. Maitre Uvacha Iti Sandishya Bhagvana Barhi Shadir Abhipujita Pashyatam Rajaputranam Tatreva Antardade Hara. Yes, please, translation.
The great sage Maitreya continued, speaking to Vidur. My dear Vidur, in this way Lord Shiva instructed the sons of King Bharishit. The sons of the king also worshipped Lord Shiva with great devotion and respect. Finally, Lord Shiva became invisible to the princess.
Yeah. Okay. So, Iti Sandeshya. Till 24th chapter we had the Rudra Gita. So, after giving the instructions, the Bhagwan Lord Shiva, Baharishadir, the sons of Bharishad, Abhipujita being worshipped by them, Pashyatam Rajaputranam Tatreva Antardade Hare. While the Pachetas were looking at him, he disappeared. He became invisible. Okay. So, purport please.
This chapter contains a great lesson concerning the monarchical kingdom in the days of yore. When King Parishad was considering retiring from the royal duties, he sent his sons to perform austerities in order to become perfect kings for the welfare of the citizens. At the same time, King Parishad was being instructed by the great sage Narada about the material world and the living entity who wants to enjoy it. It is therefore very clear how the kings and princes were trained to take charge of a kingdom. Welfare activities for the benefit of the citizens were aimed at understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, so it's very important. You see, the training in Vedic times also, there's so much stress on training. And especially when we are going to take some big responsibility, it is very much essential to undergo training. And training not only in skills, this training was for purification of heart. So, Prachin Varishad wanted that his sons to enter the Grastha ashram. So before entering the Grastha ashram, they were sent for performing austerities, so that they get purified and they can generate good quality of population. Okay. Vedic Sanskriti, there was a technology to produce good quality of children. The modern technology, modern so-called civilization, we have technology for producing good cars, good phones. But we don't know the technology to produce good population. But in Vedic times, there was a technology to produce good quality of population. And Srila Prabhupada says, the problem of the world is not overpopulation, but quality of population. Okay. So they were sent for training. Even we see in the 6th canto, Prajapati Daksh, he sent his sons for training. When all the 10,000 sons were taken by Narad Muni, they were made brahmacharis. Again 1,000 sons, again he sent them for training. He took that risk. It was essential. It was not optional. It's not that already he has lost his 10,000 sons. Now this 1,000 sons he won't send. No one could even think of this. Any boy will enter into Grastha ashram without training. It was like that. It was such a culture. Like in present days, people send their boys, children to school so that they get good qualification, they can get good match in their marriage. Similarly, in the Vedic times, they have to undergo training before entering the household ashrams, okay, so that they become the responsible. And we see even Lord Ram, when he was about to be throned, before that one night, Lord Ram and Sita Mata, they observed fast, okay, because next day there was a coronation ceremony. So it was a great responsibility. So Lord Ram is personally teaching, before we take any responsibility, we should purify our heart. Why it is necessary to purify the heart before taking any higher responsibility? course, we should remain the right consciousness to deliver that responsibility. Yes? Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, that's very nice. With responsibility comes facilities, power, and as a conditioned soul, we have spontaneous inclination to enjoy facilities. So it's very, very important, because when we are taking some responsibility, we should have more of a self-audit. There will be less person above us to audit us. Accountability gets less. So we have to be self-accountable. So that way, it's very much required that whenever you take some responsibility, normally, in this material world, people hanker for facilities, not for Haribol. Yeah. Okay. So there are so many strikes are there. People want more of rights. People are less concerned about their duties and responsibilities. They are more concerned about their rights. Okay. So rights will come, facilities will come, but along with the facilities come the danger of getting entangled into them, because nothing comes free in this world. So we can make the good use, the best use of those facilities, so that our heart should be purified and we should be in a proper consciousness. So that was the whole purpose. Okay? Yeah, please go ahead.
The human form of life is especially meant for understanding God, our relationship with Him, and our activities in His service. Because the kings took charge of the spiritual education of the citizens, both the king and the citizens were happy in Krishna consciousness. In this regard, we should remember that the monarchical hierarchy of Prachina Bharishat comes from Maharaj Dhruva, a great devotee of the Lord and the most celebrated disciple of Narada Muni. King Prachina Bharishat was then too much engaged in 42 activities due to performing different types of yagnas. One can actually be promoted to the higher planetary systems or to the heavenly kingdoms by performing various yagnas. But there is no question of liberation or going back home, back to Godhead. When the great sage Narada saw that a descendant of Maharaj Dhruva was being misled by 42 activities, Narada took compassion upon him and personally came to instruct him about the ultimate benediction of life, Bhakti Yoga. How Narada Muni indirectly introduced the Bhakti Yoga system to King Prachina Bharishat is very interestingly described in this 25th chapter.
So Narada Muni was very concerned. This Bharishat, King Bharishat is coming in the line of Dhruv Maharaj, in which the Prithu Maharaj has appeared. So how come he is not taken into devotional life? He is into fruitive activities. So that was his concern. He should also be spiritually elevated. So similarly, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Srivas Thakur and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, that even the pet animals of your family or your village are very dear to me. So for Narad Muni, Dhruv Maharaj is so dear, Prithu Maharaj is so dear, and in that family line, King Prachina Bharishat, he is performing only fruitive activities. He should also be brought to Krishna consciousness, spiritual life. So that's why Narad Muni took the initiative. That is the compassion of Narad Muni. And we'll see the expertise of Narad Muni, how he preached to King Prachina Bharishat. Now, his name was Bharishat. You know what is the meaning of Bharishat? Bharishat. That is Prachi. That is Prachi, facing towards east. And Bharishat means Kusha grass. He used Kusha grass. So he used to perform so many sacrifices. So he has ensured that in his kingdom, the Kusha grass should always be facing towards east, so that there is no delay in performing yajna. Always there should be yajna. Always there should be yajna. Where there is the yajna should be there. Similarly, our yajna is japa yajna. So always we should be having feedback with us. Whenever we get time, we should start chanting. So his name was put Prachina Bharishat. That's in all his kingdom he ensured that the yajna facility should be there and all those kushagras should be facing towards east. That's why his name was Prachina Bharishat. Okay. Second verse. Prachi means facing towards east. Yeah. Rudra Gitam Bhagavata Strotam sarve prachetasa japantaste tapaste pur varshanam ayutam jale. Yes, Prabhu.
Translation. All the Pracheta princes simply stood in the water for 10,000 years and recited the prayers given to them by Lord Shiva.
Yeah. So now it will be very surprising for us for two reasons. How one can perform austerity for 10,000 years, that too in the water. But that was Satyug. They had a longer lifespan, so they could spend 10,000 years, and they had all the abilities to go inside the water and perform austerities. Okay, so while they were performing austerities, Prachin Badhitam Kshata Karma Sasakta Manasam Narado Adhyatma Tattvagya Kripalu Pratyabodhyata. Yes.
While the princes were undergoing severe austerities in the water, their father was performing different types of fruitive activities. At this time, the great saint Narada, master and teacher of all spiritual life, became very compassionate upon the king and decided to instruct him about spiritual life.
Yeah, okay. Purport?
Purport. As pointed out by Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, Kaivalya or merging into the Brahman, effulgence, is just like going to hell. He similarly states that even elevation to the upper planetary system for the enjoyment of the heavenly life is just so much phantasmagoria. This means that a devotee does not give any importance to the ultimate goal of the karmis and jnanis. The ultimate goal of the karmis is promotion to the heavenly kingdom, and the ultimate goal of the jnanis is merging into the Brahman, effulgence. Of course, the jnanis are superior to the karmis, as confirmed by Lord Chaitanya. Koti karma nishta madhye eka jnani shrestha. One jnani or impersonalist is better than many thousands of fruitive actors. Therefore, a devotee never enter upon the path of karma or elevation by fruitive activities. Narayana took compassion upon King Prachin Barisha when he saw the king engaged in fruitive activity. In comparison to mundane workers, those who are trying to be elevated to the higher planetary system by performing yagyas are undoubtedly superior. In pure devotional service, however, both karma and jnana are considered bewildering features of the illusory energy.
Yeah, because both are self-centered. You know, karma also is self-centered, and jnana is also self-centered. So as long as we are keeping ourselves in the center of everything we do, we are in illusion. Because why it is an illusion? Karma and jnana illusion.
We get deviated from the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Because yes, they are self-centered, and we are into this existence. We are meant for serving Krishna only. Ekoyam Bahusyam. Lord expanded himself into innumerable number of living entities for his pleasure. So we are meant for giving pleasure to Krishna only. So anything other than this purpose is an illusion. So karma and jnana are illusory paths because that is not the purpose of our existence. Right? Shreyastvam Katmadam Rajan Karmana Mana Ihase Dukhani Sukhvapti Shreyastandeh Sheshyate. Yeah.
Narada Muni asked King Prachini Parishad, "My dear king, what do you desire?" My dear king, what do you desire to achieve by performing these fruitive activities? The chief aim of life is to get rid of all miseries and enjoy happiness. But these two things cannot be realized by fruitive activity.
Very wonderful style of preaching. If we also try this style whenever you meet a new person, and whatever you're doing, you want to increase your happiness, decrease your distress. Yes, that's what you want to do. But are you achieving that aim? But by what we are doing? It's a very sharp question, pointed question. Like Prahlad Maharaj also says, Dukkhay, Sukhay, Dukh Mokshaya, Sankalpiha Karmana, Sada Apnoti Dukkham, Anihe Sukham Amritam. That all the people in this world, whatever they perform any action, it's for the two purposes. Sukhay, for getting happiness, Dukh Mokshaya, for reducing miseries. But what happens? Sada Apnoti Hi Dukkham. Every time one gets distress only. Then how should one get happiness? Anihaya. One should not try for happiness. Because happiness of this world is Sukham Apritam. The happiness of this world is covered misery. It appears like happiness, but it is misery covered. Like a blind well covered by green grass. So that's why however hard we may try, the more we try for happiness in this world, the more our distress increases. So similarly, Narada Muni is preaching to Prachin Parishad. You want more happiness and you want to reduce your distress, but are you getting this purpose served by performing fruitive activities? So Narada Muni made him think. Then think deeply. Yes, it's not. I'm not getting my purpose. Right? Please purport.
In this material world, there is a great illusion which covers real intelligence. A man in a mode of passion wants to work very hard to derive some benefit, but he does not know that time will never allow him to enjoy anything permanently. Compared with the work one expends, the gain is not so profitable.
Yes.
Even if it is profitable, it is not without its distresses. If a man is not born rich and he wants to purchase a house, cars, and other material things
in Mumbai,
he has to work hard day and night for many years in order to possess them.
Yes.
Thus, happiness is not attained without undergoing some distress.
All of us have some experience of working outside.
Yes.
So we must be relating. Yeah, next.
Actually, pure happiness cannot be had within this material world. If we wish to enjoy something, we must suffer for something else. On the whole, suffering is the nature of this material world, and whatever enjoyment we are trying to achieve is simply illusion. After all, we have to suffer the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death. We may discover many fine medicines, but it is not possible to stop the suffering of disease or death. Actually, medicine is not the counteracting agent for either disease or death. On the whole, there is no happiness in this material world, but an illusion person works very hard for so-called happiness. Indeed, this process of working hard is actually taken for happiness. This is called illusion.
Would you like to elaborate on this? The process of working hard is actually taken for happiness. How to understand this? The process of working hard is actually taken for happiness. नहीं भागदौड़ कर रहे हैं लोग.
Srila Prabhupada has given example of an ass. An ass is working very hard, but he doesn't know grass is freely available.
But ass is thinking by working hard is actual happiness.
He will get some grass by his own, and in this will.
Yeah. That means happiness is only in the anticipation. So in this world, happiness exists only in anticipation. I'll get this. Like you give an example. Ass is working hard in the anticipation of getting a grass. Similarly, and people are working very hard. I'll get a good rise in salary. I'll get married to that beautiful girl. Then I'll buy a new car. That's why they're working hard. So it is in the anticipation. By working hard, I'll get money and then I'll fulfill my desires. In anticipation, the happiness is only in the anticipation. And after working so hard, the gain is very little. खोदा पहाड़ निकली चुईया, वो भी मरी हुई. कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला. Okay, कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला. And the problem is that even after coming to devotional life, I mean, we still have hopes of finding happiness in this material world. The hope should die the first, but it dies at the end. Till we leave this body, we are still hopeful. There may be some happiness in this material world. And as long as we have this even iota of hope in this material world, we'll keep on taking birth. Why is like this? Why? Why this hope doesn't die? Even we know this philosophy. Like so what is the problem?
Material desires.
Yeah, so but that desire is hope only.
Illusory energy is so strong.
Illusion is so strong. Yeah. So what is the solution? Actually, we unfortunately we all even don't know what is our real problem. So we go for the solution without knowing the real problem. So what is the real problem? If we can identify with the real problem, the solution will work. All the solution will work. Why we are not able to chant very attentively, very intensely? Why we are not taking our Krishna consciousness so seriously the way we should take? Why?
You are not sufficiently frustrated.
Why we are not frustrated?
Hope. We are attached to vision.
Huh?
Hope that we will be happy.
Hope will be happy in this material world. Why it is so? It is all our avidya, our ignorance. Okay. So we don't know our real problem. Our real problem is that janam mrityu jara vyadhi. Prabhuji तो पता है ये कौन सी नई चीज ये तो मालूम है हमने. We know the shloka also. But the point is, we know this, we not yet realize it. Like some person may have cancer and he is not aware of that he has this deadly disease called cancer. And he is happily taking some painkiller and he goes for diagnosis and he comes to know that he has cancer. Still is very casual, oh I have cancer, no problem. Because he doesn't know how deadly is cancer. Similarly, we know Janam Mrityu Jara Vyadhi problem hai. Janam Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukh Doshan Darshana. We know this verse. But we have not realized it. We are not scared of taking next birth. We are still not scared. We have not realized it. Because that Sambandha Gyan has not manifested in our heart. Once I come, this Sambandha Gyan becomes clear, I am not this body, I am the soul. Why should I take birth? That's the problem. So this Sambandha Gyan has not manifested, so we are not identifying with the problem. Once this problem is clear to us, my real problem is Janam Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, then all these small troubles of this material world in our temple won't affect us. It won't affect us at all. Because I know the real problem. That's why Prabhupada says the real problems are birth, old age, disease and death. And we are not aware of the real problems. So that all the solution, even if someone say, now Guru Maharaj used to say, the solution for all the problems is attentive chanting. It doesn't appeal to us. होता तो है नहीं, problem तो वही बनेगा. Attentive chanting की फिर भी material attention से, attentive chanting फिर भी devotees में problem है. Problem क्या है? Because we are not identifying with the real problem. मेरे को मालूम है मुझे कैंसर है, but कैंसर कितना खतरनाक वो नहीं पता मुझे. This is the thing. So how will come to know that this disease is very dangerous. When we get a Sambandh Gyan. Okay. So that's why we are having this Bhakti Vaibhav. This Sambandh Gyan. That's why we will discuss scriptures in the association of devotees. That's how the whole process is there. You know, Prabhupada's purpose, major stress is on Sambandh Gyan. Okay. And this Sambandh Gyan is not only knowledge, it's a culture of knowledge. It's our lifestyle. If you follow the proper culture, you know, like Prabhupada has given us proper culture, Krishna conscious culture. If you follow that culture, then this Sambandh Gyan will come clear to us. You know, culture of getting up early in the morning, Mangalarti, Bhagavatam, serving devotees, whole culture if we follow, then this Gyan will come in our heart. Then Divya Gyan Hridaya Prakashita. Not mere theoretical knowledge. Okay. So that's why we have to accept this Krishna conscious culture from our heart, practice it on daily basis and aspire for this. Then once we realize this is our real problem, then we'll really appreciate Krishna consciousness. Each and every moment we'll relish, we'll appreciate this Krishna consciousness. Yes, it has to be appreciated, it has to be practiced very sincerely. Right? Otherwise, the Sambandh Gyan is not clear, so I'm still hoping against the hope. This body relationships, body designations, post, power, position will give me some satisfaction. So as long as that hope is there, so we won't be able to relish real Krishna consciousness. Any comments on this or any thoughts or comments? Does it make sense or no?
Yes, Guruji. We have not sufficiently realized
Yeah.
the danger we are in, the danger situation we are in.
Yeah.
And therefore our actions are not aligned with the...
Even the solutions also don't appeal to us. It looks very theoretical. So even our problem also looks very theoretical to us. और जरा मतलब यार देख लेंगे Prabhuji, first problem is this, you know. So, but that is the root of all the problems. Okay. So that's how we should have to take this culture. And this Sambandh Gyan is not so cheap. It won't manifest like that. So we'll have to follow this culture, we have to aspire for it, and we have to sincerely apply this process. Then it will become manifest in our heart. Right? The whole process is there. Right? Okay. Next paragraph. Prabhu.
Therefore, Narad Muni asked King Prachin Parishad what he desires to attain by performing so many costly sacrifices. Even if one attains a heavenly planet, he cannot avoid the distress of birth, old age, disease, and death. Someone may argue that even devotees have to undergo many distresses in executing austerities and penances connected with devotional service. Of course, for the neophyte, the routine of devotional service may be very painful, but at least they have the hope that they will ultimately be able to avoid all kinds of distresses and achieve the highest perfectional stage of happiness.
ऐसा है उम्मीद है कई बार बोर हो जाते हैं ना मॉर्निंग प्रोग्राम कर लेके कौन उठेगा सुबह so but Prabhupada is saying it may be very painful but at least they have the hope that they will be ultimately able to avoid all kinds of distresses. You know? So spiritual life is difficult but material life is impossible. You know? Material life is also struggle, spiritual life is also struggle, but spiritual life is sweet struggle. I get Mahaprasada also. so it's a sweet struggle. Okay. So spiritual life also, yes, because while we are struggling also, we get some realizations also. Although we are not able to chant attentively, but still we like to chant. If we are not able to chant in the morning, we feel some very awkward. So although we are not, I'm not able to chant so attentively, still I like to chant in the morning hours. So that means some realization, some taste I am getting, although I am struggling. But in the material life, they struggle only, but there is no taste. Taste in anticipation only, but no real taste. But spiritual life, there is no post-dated check. You know? We get immediate realizations also. Okay.
For the common karmis, there is no such hope because even if they are promoted to the higher planetary systems, they are not guaranteed freedom from the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death. Even Lord Brahma, who is situated in the highest planetary system, Brahmalok, has to die. Lord Brahma's birth and death may be different from an ordinary man's, but within this material world, he cannot avoid the distresses of birth, old age, disease, and death. If one is all serious about attaining the liberation from the miseries, he must take to the devotional service. This is confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita. One who knows the transcendent nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. O Arjuna. Thus, after attaining full Krishna consciousness, the devotee does not return to this material world after that. He goes back home, back to God. This is the perfect stage of happiness, unblemished by any trace of distress.
Now, interesting thing is, like that Narad Muni, why he is disturbing King Prachin Parishad, He is, for following the Vedas, nothing wrong. He is not following any anti-Vedic process. He is not a demon. He was doing Karma Kant, and Lord Krishna has also recommended Karma Kant in Bhagavad Gita. Which verse?
Swadharmam api cha vekshana vipati.
No. That's not direct.
This from the rain comes.
Anad bhavati bhutani parjanyadana.
That is in 3rd chapter only. Where is that verse? 3rd chapter. Sarayagya Prajasrishta Purovacha Prajapati Amena Pasvishna Vastu Ishtam Kamaka. So you want to fulfill your desires, you perform yoga. So Prachin was not doing that. So why it's in gradual progress. Why is disturbing him? He's not doing anything wrong. But it is out of his compassion. He wants to do that. Okay. And you see, it's not that, when even Vidur, when he went to Dhritarashtra, so Vidur did not teach Dhritarashtra pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada says Dhritarashtra was not qualified because he had offended Pandavas so much. But Narad Muni is still giving pure devotional, trying to give pure devotional service, but is not starting directly. Narad Muni's expertise, because he is so much attached to Karma Kant. So Narad Muni will use different techniques, but ultimately he will bring him to pure devotional service. Okay. Right? So Narad Muni could, we'll see next. Narad Muni first posed a question: are you happy? Very nice question. Even if you go to anywhere, are you feeling happy? So I would like to know, because no one can be happy without Krishna consciousness. So he'll say no, and then the king will reply, and then it will start. Yeah. Rajo vacha na janami mahabhaga param karma apaviddati ruhi me vimalam jnanam yena mocheya karma bhi. Yes. Translation.
The king replied, O great soul, Narada, my intelligence is entangled in future activities. Therefore, I do not know the ultimate goal of life. Kindly instruct me in pure knowledge so that I can get out of the entanglement of fruitive activities.
So this is the humility of King Prachin Parishad. And this Narada was impressed. King Prachin was never defended. Normally, if a person is too addicted, too committed to one process, he won't accept his fault. He'll say, no, this is okay, this person is following very nicely. But this is the purity of Narad Muni. The king immediately accepted. Yes, you are right, Mahabhaga. I don't know. Please tell me, how can I get rid of this karma bhi, this bondage of karma? Okay. So Narad Muni could see the spark. Okay. This is the spark. This person can be brought to pure devotional service. So that way. Okay. Yeah. Purport, please.
Sri Narottam Das Thakur has sung Satsanga chadi kaino asate vilas te karane lagila hai karma bhandha pansa. As long as a person is entangled in fruitive activities, he is bound to accept one body after another. This is called karma bhandha pasha. Entanglement in fruitive activities. It does not matter whether one is engaged in pious or impious activities, for both are causes for the further entanglement in material bodies. By pious activities, one can take birth in a rich family and get a good education and a beautiful body. But this does not mean that the distress of life are ultimately eliminated. In the Western countries, it is not unusual for one to take birth in a rich or aristocratic family, nor is it unusual for one to have a good education and a very beautiful body. But this does not mean that Westerners are free from the distress of life.
Normally we see, you are born with a silver spoon. You heard this phrase? So even if one is born with a silver spoon, he will undergo all kinds of distress in the womb of his mother. In the womb of mother, he doesn't have silver spoon in his mouth. When he comes out, then anprashar is done with silver spoon. But in the womb, he'll undergo the similar kind of distress which a child in the womb of a poor mother is going to undergo. This is what Prabhupada is trying to do. The distresses will remain the same. Even if one person is diseased, he has to suffer, whether he is rich or poor. Okay. Sometimes there are deluxe hospitals are there. Many hospitals they are very deluxe. Some say in the Delhi there was one hospital, it's deluxe hospital. So it may be deluxe facilities, but the distress won't go. Right? That's what Prabhupada is trying to make. Okay. So we'll come down. It can be concluded, read from here.
It can be concluded that one cannot become happy by simply performing pious activities. It is not a fact that those who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth are free from material miseries of birth, old age, disease and death. The conclusion is that one cannot be happy by simply executing pious or impious activities. Such activities simply cause entanglement and transmigration from one body to another. Narottam Das Thakur calls this karma bandha pash. King Prachina Barishat admitted this fact and frankly asked Narada Muni how he could get out of this karma bandha pash, entanglement in fruitive activities. This is actually the stage of knowledge indicated in the first verse of Vedanta Sutra, Athato Brahma Jignasa. When one actually reaches the platform of frustration in an attempt to discharge karma bandha pash, he inquires about the real value of life, which is called Brahma Jignasa. In order to inquire about the ultimate goal of life, the Vedas enjoin Tad Vijnanartham Sa Gurum Eva Vikachet. In order to understand the transcendental science, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. The king Prachina Barishat found the best spiritual master, Narada Muni, and he therefore asked him about the knowledge by which one can get out of the entanglement of karma bandha pash, fruitive activities. This is the actual business of human life. Jivasya tattva jignasanarto yasya chaha karma bihi. As stated in the second chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 10, a human being's only business is inquiring from a bona fide spiritual master about extrication from the entanglement of karma bandha pash.
So this is the best way of taking association of pure devotees. One should be transparent and humble. Okay. Whatever may be our condition, although the king Prachi Parishit was totally absorbed in fruitive activities, but still he was very humble and transparent before Narada Muni. So he could take the best of the association. On the other hand, we see Daksh Prajapati. He also got the chance to meet Narada Muni. But he was so self-absorbed. He was so much project-oriented. I had a project to produce more children. He couldn't appreciate the qualities of Narad Muni. Yeah. Narad Muni gave him a chance also. Like on his own, Narad Muni came to Prachin Parishad. Similarly, on his own, Narad Muni visited Daksh Prajapati. Similar situation. When his sons were undergoing austerity, Prachetas were going austerity, Narad Muni thought of their father. Similarly, when the Haryas and Shalas were going under austerity, Narad Muni thought of their father. Let me go and deliver him also, the poor person. But he offended Narad Muni because he was so much self-absorbed, so much project-oriented. Here, the king was also very much absorbed in fruitive activities, but still he was humble enough to admit his mistake, admit his shortcomings. And he said, yes, I want to get relief from this. Please instruct me. Okay? So that is the way. We may also come in contact with many elevated devotees. It's up to our attitude, how we make best use of your association. Yeah. Graheshu kut dharmeshu putra dharadhanartadhi na param vindate mudo ramyam sansara vatmasu.
Those who are interested only in a so-called beautiful life, namely remaining as a householder, entangled by sons and a wife, and searching after wealth, think that such things are life's ultimate goal. Such people simply wander in different types of bodies throughout this material existence, without finding out the ultimate goal of life.
Yeah. He's saying all householders are like me only. They don't know the ultimate goal of life. So this is, he's admitting before Narad Muni. Yeah. Parpat Babu.
Those who are too much attached to family life, which consists of entanglement with wife, children, wealth and home, are engaged in Kuta Dharma, pseudo duties. Prahlad Maharaj has likened these pseudo occupational duties to a dark well, Andhakupam. Prahlad has purposefully spoken of this dark well because if one falls into this well, he will die. He may cry for help, but no one will hear him or come to rescue him.
Anyone of you seen the Andhakupam? I have not seen. Anyone in the village must be there. Anyone has seen? You have seen? How is it like?
Not looking at how can I say that? You cannot see on the.
You can't see the bottom.
No. Nothing is visible. Completely dark.
Achha, you also seen that?
It's dry. Huh? You don't see only how can it's dry or wet. Completely dark.
So how it is normally protected that people should not fall into this?
No, everywhere this like plants will be there and all bushes will be there. Nobody is cares of that. Nobody knows on it. It's completely dark.
Sometimes in the jungle sometimes it is found.
Generally is found. You have seen?
Yes. Animals fall down.
Animals fall down.
Animals fall down.
And they cry for help. And they must be smelling bad also when they die there. It's very frightening. Okay. One who has seen, he'll be frightened. In the cities, we have not seen forest, and it's only theory. On the Kupam. Okay. Next one.
The words Brahmayan Samsara Vatmashu are significant. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhyalila, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very clearly explains Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev. All living entities are wandering in different types of bodies throughout different planets. And if in the course of their wanderings they come in contact with a devotee by the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, their lives become successful. Even though King Prachin Parishad was engaged in fruitive activity, the great sage Narada appeared before him. The king was very fortunate to be able to associate with Narada, who enlightened him in spiritual knowledge. It is the duty of all saintly persons to follow in the footsteps of Narad Muni, travel all over the world to every country and village, just to instruct illusioned persons about the goal of life, and to save them from the entanglement of karma bandha, fruitive activity.
Any of you have this experience? Like you come in cross, like person like Prashi Parishad, you talk with him. Not engaging in sacrifices, but totally materialistic minded person. You had a talk with him and then we could see some change in him. In your preaching or must have had some experience. Share karo. Prabhupada is instructing all of us. Oh, you must be doing. So any experience, please share.
I came across one, but then I couldn't convince him.
What was the experience?
I mean, he was telling about how we were doing book distribution. So he was kind of blaspheming devotees and then like parasites and this and that. And then I tried explaining to him about what we are doing and then, but then, so like that's what here we find how Prajni Parishad is humble. Like when Narada has asked him, "Are you happy?" And then he has admitted. Generally, people don't admit only. We are happy. Yes. So.
Yes. Yeah, this is also. But still he must have gained a lot by talking with you. How? Security. Yes. It's like a wet grass. It's getting dry slowly and slowly. Maybe next time a devotee meets him, he'll be favorable. So it's always auspicious when we go out and meet people, we give some sukriti. Any other experience? Buddhist vision, we have a lot of such experiences. Any other? So-called conversion. बोलो कुछ तो होगा बताइए not coming to mind yeah
एक जयपुर वाले ऐसा एक शूट कर रहा था मैं 20 मिनट पूरा शूट कर रहा था स्टार्टिंग में बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन पूछे थे कि मैं भगवान नहीं है मैं साइंटिफिकली प्रूव करता हूँ तो फिर मैं प्रभुपाद जी के बुक से आर्गुमेंट उनको देके बोला था कि मैं भी प्रूव कर सकता हूँ भगवान है साइंटिफिकली फिर कुछ 15-20 मिनट के बाद आर्गुमेंट के बाद मैंने आइंस्टाइन का वगैरह एग्जांपल दे दी फिर उनको कन्विंस किया तो फिर यहाँ पे आके उन्होंने कृष्णा बुक ले लिया तो उसके पास पैसे नहीं थे फिर मैंने बोला कि इधर ATM में लेके आ जाओ
So there's a dire need. We should always go out, and sometimes it may appear that we are getting favorable response. Sometimes it may appear the response is not favorable, but it's always win-win situation. Always win-win. Because we are given sukriti to that person. No, like because why he is not accepted immediately because of his all past sinful life offenses, but by coming in contact with devotees, one gets sukriti. His heart will get softened slowly and slowly, and one day he'll accept. This has happened with all of us. So it will happen to us. Yes, Prabhu. Mike.
One person is traveling, not book distribution, traveling in train. So I was chanting in the morning. So one person came to me. So he was quite distressed. So then I was discussing with him about his life. So he accepted like this, that a lot of problems are going nowadays. Simple common problems in life. So because of that, he chanted also once and then he was going to Shirdi. So he chanted, he was going to Shirdi. Then he chanted also once and then means I give the number of the Shirdi bookstore. It is there. So I hope he met there also. But he took a vow to chant one round like that.
Very nice. So we should always, keep on trying, because if we will not do that, who will do that? We all are coming in a disciple succession of Narad Muni. So we have to do that. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Yes. Okay. Go ahead. Narad Uvacha Ho Prajapate Rajan Pashun Pashya Tvayadhare Sangyapitam Jeev Sanghan Nirdharnen Sahasrasha. Okay.
The great sage Narada said, O ruler of the citizens, my dear king, please see in the sky those animals which you have sacrificed without compassion and without mercy in the sacrificial arena.
Just see the technique of Narada Muni. One shock after another shock. First he asked, are you happy? And he agreed no. Then again showed him like this. Such a totally shaken. And then Narada Muni will start preaching. Okay. Perfect.
Because animal sacrifice is recommended in the Vedas, there are animal sacrifices in almost all religious rituals. However, one should not be satisfied simply by killing animals according to the directions of the scriptures. One should transcend the ritualistic ceremonies and try to understand the actual truth, the purpose of life. Narad Muni wanted to instruct the king about the real purpose of life and invoke a spirit of renunciation in his heart. Knowledge and the spirit of renunciation, Jnana Vairagya, are the ultimate goal of life. Without knowledge, one cannot become detached from material enjoyment. And without being detached from material enjoyment, one cannot make spiritual advancement. Karmis are generally engaged in sense gratification, and for this end, they are prepared to commit so many sinful activities. Animal sacrifice is but one such sinful activity. Consequently, by his mystic power, Narad Muni showed King Prashanabharishat the dead animals which he had sacrificed.
Yeah. So we don't have that kind of mystic power. When we go to some person and show him whatever meat you are eating, just see the animal. We can't show that. But still, like it is called Dhobi Chap, Dhobi Patka. Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur used to say, how should we go out and preach? So whenever we go out, we appreciate that person. We glorify that person. So we first lift him up. And then we say, oh my sir, whatever now you have learned, please forget and follow my advice. So it's like Dhobi Patka. Dhobi, when they wash their clothes, they first raise the clothes and then do like this. Similarly, Ho Rajapate, first glorify him and then you say, whatever karma kand you are following, it's useless. And then he showed him all the animals who had killed in the animal sacrifice. Okay. Ete tvam sampratikshante smaranto vaishasam tava sampeditam ayakotais chindante utitam manyavaha.
All these animals are awaiting your death so that they can avenge the injuries you have inflicted upon them. After you die, they will angrily pierce your body with iron horns.
Purport, please.
Narad Muni wanted to draw King Parchin Barisat's attention to excesses of killing animals in sacrifices. It is said in the Shastra that by killing animals in a sacrifice, one immediately promotes them to human birth. Similarly, by killing their enemies on a battlefield, the Kshatriyas who fight for a right cause are elevated to the heavenly planets after death. In Manu Samhita, it is stated that it is necessary for a king to execute a murderer so that the murderer will not suffer for his criminal actions in his next life. On the basis of such understanding, Narad Muni warns the king that the animals killed in sacrifices by the king await him at his death in order to avenge themselves. Narad Muni is not contradicting himself here. Narad Muni wanted to convince the king that overindulgence in animal sacrifice is risky, because as soon as there is a small discrepancy In the execution of such a sacrifice, the slaughtered animal may not be promoted to a human form of life. Consequently, the person performing sacrifice will be responsible for the death of the animal, just as much as a murderer is responsible for killing another man. When animals are killed in a slaughterhouse, 6 people connected with the killing are responsible for the murder. The person who gives permission for the killing, the person who kills, the person who helps, the person who purchases the meat, the person who cooks the flesh, and the person who eats it, all become entangled in the killing. Narad Muni wanted to draw the king's attention to this fact. Thus, animal killing is not encouraged even in a sacrifice.
So this process is not sinful but highly risky. Even a small error by the priest may become cost us a lot. So a small error in pronunciation, intonation, the whole result, they won't get the due result, and it has a lot of reactions. Atrate kathishya amam itihasam puratanam puranjanasya charitam nimodha gadato mama.
In this connection, I wish to narrate an old history connected with the character of a king called Puranjana. Please try to hear me with great attention.
Yeah. So this is very good technique by Narad Muni, indirect preaching. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says it is called aprastut prashansa, indirect, allegorically. Okay, to find some common ground. Okay, you are a king, so I will tell you a story of a king. His story only will be different name. I'll tell you your story. He was also there was one king. So the king will like to hear about the king's story. This is how Narad Muni is starting. Okay. Yeah.
The great sage Narad Muni turned toward another topic, the history of King Puranjana. This is nothing but the history of King Parikshit told in a different way. In other words, this is an allegorical presentation. The word Puranjana means one who enjoys in a body. This is clearly explained in the next few chapters because a person entangled in material activities wants to hear stories of material activities. Narad Muni turned to the topics of King Puranjana, who is none other than King Prachini Bharishat. Narad Muni did not directly depreciate the value of performing sacrifices in which animals are sacrificed. Lord Buddha, however, directly rejected all animal sacrifice. Srila Jayadev Goswami has stated, Nindasi yajna vider ahasa shruti jatam. The word shruti jatam indicates that in the Vedas, animal sacrifice is recommended. But Lord Buddha directly denied Vedic authority in order to stop animal sacrifice. Consequently, Lord Buddha is not accepted by the followers of the Vedas, because he does not accept the authority of the Vedas. Lord Buddha is depicted as an agnostic or atheist. The great sage Narad Muni cannot decry the authority of the Vedas, but he wanted to indicate to King Prachini Varishat that the path of Karmakand is very difficult and risky. Foolish persons accept the difficult path of Karmakand for the sake of sense enjoyment, and those who are too much attached to sense enjoyment are called mudas, rascals. It is very difficult for a muda to understand the ultimate goal of life. In the propagation of the Krishna consciousness movement, we actually see that many people are not attracted because they are mudas, engaged in fruitive activities. It is said, Upadesho hi murkhanam prakopaya na santaye. If good instructions are given to a foolish rascal, he simply becomes angry and turns against the instructions instead of taking advantage of them. Because Narad Muni knew this very well, he indirectly instructed the king by giving him the history of his entire life. In order to wear a gold or a diamond, nose pin or earring, one has to pierce the ear or nose. Such pain endured for the sake of sense gratification is endured on the path of Karmakand. the path of fruitive activity. If one wishes to enjoy something in the future, he has to endure trouble in the present. If one wants to become a millionaire in the future and enjoy his riches, he has to work very hard at the present moment in order to accumulate money. This is karma kandiya. Those who are too much attached to such a path undergo the risk anyway. Narada Muni wanted to show King Prachini Barishat how one undergoes great troubles and mysteries in order to engage in fruitive activity. A person who is very much attached to material activity is called Vishayi. A Vishayi is an enjoyer of Vishaya, which means eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Narad Muni is indirectly indicating through the story of King Puranjana that eating, sleeping, mating, and defending are troublesome and risky. The word Itihasam, history, and Puratanam, old, indicate that although a living entity lives within the material body, the history of the living entity within the material body is very old. In this regard, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung Anadi Karma Phale Padi Bhavarnava Jale Tari Bhare Na Dekhi Upaya. Due to my past fruitive activities, I have fallen into the water of material existence and I cannot find any way to get out of it. Every living entity is suffering in the material existence from past activities. Therefore, everyone has a very old history. Foolish material scientists have manufactured their own theory of evolution, which are simply concerned with the material body. But actually, this is not the real evolution. The real evolution is the history of the living entity, who is Puranjana, living within the body. Sri Narad Muni will explain this evolutionary theory in a different way for the understanding of sane persons.
Puranjan means one who enjoys in the body, and Puranjan also means one who creates the body. No? Janyati Puram, by our actions we create body. Okay? So for enjoyment, that's called Puranjan. Okay. And it is Puratan. Why it is Puratan? Because the history is very old. So it starts before entering the womb of the mother, the soul is there in search of happiness. So one body after another body, one womb after another womb. So we all are very Puratan, very old. Like you see some Haldiram since 1953. वैसे अपना पता नहीं कहाँ अपना time immemorial. We have seen so many Brahmas coming and going, so many Manus coming and going. So many incarnations have come and gone. We have remained here since time immemorial. So we are very Puratan, old. That is our history. Okay. Then Asit Puranjano Nama Raja Rajan Brahatshrava Tasya Avigyata Namasi Sakha Vigyata Cheshtita.
My dear king, once in the past lived a king named Puranjana, who was celebrated for his great activities. He had a friend named Avijnata, the unknown one. No one could understand the activities of Avijnata.
So Brahatshrava, whose activities were great, was very famous. So all of us are very famous. All we have done in different lives. If we have shown the record, we have so many accomplishments. We are very famous. Such a big time immemorial we are here. And Brahatshrava, the other meaning is, Shrava means hearing. One who has great taste for hearing. Hearing about eating, mating, sleeping, defending. Hearing about finding happiness in this material world. So all the conditioned souls of Brahatshrava, very famous, the great taste for hearing. And they are Puranjana, okay? Tasya Avagyat Nam. We have a friend. Who is this Avagyat? Unknown, super soul. So we don't know his activities. The other meaning of Avigyat Cheshtita is Vigyat Cheshtita. Our friend super soul always knows our activities and he facilitates our activities. Okay. So two meanings, avijñāt cheshtita. One is avijñāt cheshtita, we don't know the activities of avijñāt. The other is avijñāt cheshtita is taken as vijñāt cheshtita, that the super soul is always aware of our activities. It reminds us of our activities of previous birth. Okay, and the word Raja has come. So Vishnu Chakravarti says, what does the Raja means? Raj. Raj means he exists with the soul and other elements. Bhumi, Apo, Anal, Vayu. Like now, this person is Virajman, he is present here. So the soul is present along with material elements. He is Raja. Okay, so we all are kings. We all are very famous. We all have a long history. Such a wonderful record we all have. Okay, this is our glory. Okay, yes. Please.
Every living entity is Puranjana. The word Puram means within this body, within this form. And Jana means living entity. Thus, everyone is Puranjana. Every living entity is supposed to be the king of his body because the living entity is given full freedom to use his body as he likes. He usually engages his body for sense gratification because one who is in the bodily conception of life feels that the ultimate goal of life is to serve the senses. This is a process of karma kanda. One who has no inner knowledge, who does not know that he is actually the spirit soul living within this body, who is simply enamored by the dictation of the senses, is called the materialist. A materialistic person interested in sense gratification can be called as a Puranjana. Because such a materialistic person utilizes his senses according to his whims, he may also be called king. An irresponsible king takes the royal position to be his personal property and misuses his treasury for sense gratification. The word Brihat Shava is also significant. The word Shava means fame. The living entity is famous from ancient times. For as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Najayate Mriyate Va. The living entity is never born and never dies because he is eternal. His activities are eternal, although they are performed in different types of bodies. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. He does not die even after annihilation of the body. Thus the living entity transmigrates from one body to another and performs various activities. In each body, the living entity performs so many acts. Sometimes he becomes a great hero, just like Hiranyakashipu and Kamsa, or in the modern age, Napoleon or Hitler. The activities of such men are certainly very great, but as soon as their bodies are finished, everything else is finished. Then they remain in the name only. Therefore, a living entity may be so-called Brihashtava. He may have a great reputation for various types of activities. Nonetheless, he has a friend whom he does not know. Materialistic person do not understand that the God is present as a super soul who is situated within the heart of every living entity. Although the Paramatma sits beside the Jivatma as a friend, the Jivatma or living entity does not know it. Consequently, he is described as Avijñāta Sakha, meaning one who has an unknown friend. The word Avijñāta Cheshtitaha is also significant because a living entity works hard under the direction of the Paramatma and he is carried away by the laws of nature. Nonetheless, he thinks himself independent of God and independent of the stringent laws of material nature. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Achetyoyam adahyoyam akledyo shosya evacha nitya sarvagata sthanur achaloyam sanatana. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burnt nor dried. He is everlasting, all-pervading, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. The living entity is Sanatana, eternal, because he cannot be killed by a weapon, any weapon, burnt into ashes by fire, soaked or moistured by the water, nor dried up by air. He is considered to be immune to material reactions. Although he is changing the bodies, he is not affected by the material conditions. He is placed under the material conditions and he acts according to the direction of his friend, the super soul. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and for me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Thus, the Lord as Paramatma is situated in everyone's heart, and He gives directions to the living entity to act in whatever way the living entity desires. In this life and in his previous lives, the living entity does not know that the Lord is giving him the chance to fulfill all kinds of desires. No one can fulfill any desires without the sanction of the Lord. All the facilities given by the Lord are unknown to the conditioned soul.
Very nice, thank you. Sa amemeshana sharanam tamprama prithivim prabhu
King Puranjan began to search for a suitable place to live, and thus he travelled all over the world. Even after a great deal of travelling, he could not find a place just to his liking. Finally, he became morose and disappointed.
So he was looking for a suitable place to live. That means he was searching for a body to live, and he traveled all over. But even after that, he couldn't find a place to live. Okay, so that's why he became Vimana Eva. He became very morose. Right? Please, report.
The travelling of Puranjan are similar to the travellings of the modern hippies. Generally, hippies are sons of great fathers and great families. It is not that they are always poor, but some way or another, they abandon the shelter of their rich fathers and travel all over the world. As stated in this verse, the living entities wants to become a Prabhu or the master. The word Prabhu means master, but actually the living entity is not a master. He is the eternal servant of God. When the living entities abandons the shelter of God, Krishna, and tries to become a Prabhu, independently, he travels all over the creation. There are 84 lakh species of life and millions and trillions of planets within the creation. The living entity wanders throughout these various types of bodies and throughout different planets, and thus he is like King Puranjan, who travelled all over the world looking for a suitable place to live.
So, we said Prabhu. No? Prabhu means master. So, all conditioned souls consider themselves as the master. That is not our constitutional position. We are Prakriti, we are servants. So, if we consider ourselves as master, so Vishwanath Thakur in the 11th canto commentary gives a very nice, interesting meaning of Prabhu. He says Prabhu means Prakarshen Dev Tiryak Adi Bhavati Iti Sa Prabhu. Prakarshen means one who excessively takes birth as a demigod, as a human being, or as a lower species. He is Prabhu. So, as long as we consider ourselves as Prabhu, as master, we'll keep on taking birth. So we are Prabhu. So whenever someone calls us Prabhu, we should remind ourselves. Excessively taking birth as demigod, humans and Tiryak. This is Prabhu. And in Bhagavad Gita also Lord says Jivatma is Ishvara. Where Lord says Ishvara. Living entity as Ishvara. That is for the super soul. Shariram yadavapnoti yachapis pramatishvara. Garitutani sanyati vayurgandhani masya. The Shariram is the one when Ishwar of this body, the master of this body leaves one body, goes to another body. It's called Ishvara. Okay. Similarly, we are called Purusha. Purusha Prakritesti Bhunte Prakriti Jargunam Karanam Guna Sangasya Sada Satyoni Janmasya. So we are not Purush, we are not Ishwar, we are not Prabhu in fact. So because in this material world we are illusion, so to respect our conditional mentality we are called Purush. Or we are called, we called as Prabhu here. So that's why we keep on wanting 94 lakhs of species. So after this paragraph, Prabhupada says, thus in this verse it is said, Na Anurupam, that the king could never find a place suitable for his purposes. In this material world, wherever we wander, we'll never find a place suitable for our purpose. This is because in any form of life or on any planet in the material world, a living entity cannot be happy because everything in this material world is unsuitable for the spirit soul. Asangam hi ayo purusha. We can never be happy, we can never find a suitable place in this material world. Okay? As stated in this verse, the living entity independently wants to become a Prabhu. But as soon as he gives us the idea and becomes a servant of the God Krishna, his happiness immediately begins. Jiva Krishna das, Hey Vishwas, Karle Tara Dukh Nahi. In the same bhajan, Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Mishe Maya Vashe, Yache Bheshe, Khachaha Bodhu Bhai. My dear living entity, why are you being carried away by the waves of Maya? As stated in Bhagavad Gita 1861, Ishvara Sarvbhutanam Hadeshana Tishtati Brahman Sarvbhutani Yantra Purani Maya. Okay? So, so as soon as we come to our natural position that I am a das, I will come, Prabhupada is saying, thus we are immediately relieved from the traveling from one body to another and from one planet to another. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Brahman Bhamite Kona Bhagavad. If while traveling a living entity becomes fortunate enough to become blessed with the association of devotees and to come to Krishna consciousness, his real life actually begins. This Krishna conscious movement is giving all wanting living entities a chance to take to the shelter of Krishna and thus become happy. So our real life begins when we come in contact with a bona fide spiritual master. Before that, it's all real life, cinema. So we all are heroes of our cinema, king of our cinema. But our real life as a servant begins when we come in contact with spiritual master. That's why after initiation we are given the name of Das. In this verse, the word Vimana, Eve, are very significant. In this material world, even the great king of the heaven is also full of anxiety. If even Lord Brahma is full of anxiety, then what of these ordinary living entities who are working in this planet? Okay. Right? So everyone is in this anxiety in this material world. Na sadhu mene nata sarva bhutale yavati pura kaman kame manoso tasya pate. Yes.
Translation. King Puranjan had unlimited desires for sense enjoyment. Consequently, he traveled all over the world to find a place where all his desires could be fulfilled. Unfortunately, he found a feeling of insufficiency everywhere. Srila Vidyapati, a great Vaishnava poet, has sung Tate Tale Shikhe Hari Bindu Sama Material sense gratification with society, friendship and love is herein compared to a drop of water falling on a desert. A desert requires oceans of water to satisfy it, and if only a drop of water is supplied, what its use? Similarly, the living entity is a part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, is a tattva, anandamaya abhyasa, full of enjoyment. Being part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity is also seeking complete enjoyment. However, complete enjoyment cannot be achieved separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In its wandering in different phases of life, the living entity may taste some type of enjoyment in one body or another, but full enjoyment of the senses cannot be obtained in any material body. Thus, Puranjana, the living entity, wanders in different types of bodies, but everywhere meets frustration in his attempt to enjoy. In other words, the spiritual spark covered by matter cannot fully enjoy the senses in any circumstances in material life. A deer may become absorbed in the musical sounds vibrated by the hunter, but the result is that it loses its life. Similarly, a fish is very expert in gratifying his tongue, but when it eats the bait offered by the fisherman, it loses its life. Even the elephant, who is so strong, is captured and loses its independence while gratifying its genitals with a female elephant. In each and every species of life, the living entity gets a body to satisfy various senses, but he cannot enjoy all the senses at one time. In human form of life, he gets an opportunity to enjoy all the senses pervertedly, but the result is that he becomes so harassed in his attempted sense gratification that he ultimately becomes morose. As he tries to satisfy his senses more and more, he becomes more and more entangled.
Next verse. Saikada himmato dakshine surathusaanishu dadarshano param rakshite lakshana.
Once while wandering in this way, he saw on the southern side of the Himalaya, in the place named Bharatvarsha, India, a city that had 9 gates all about and was characterized by all auspicious facilities. The tract of land south of the Himalaya mountain is the land of India, which was known as Bharatvarsha. When a living entity takes birth in the Bharatvarsha, he is considered to be most fortunate. Indeed, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has stated, Bharat Bhumite Haila, Manusya Janmaya, Janma Sarthaka Kari, Kar Parupakara. Thus, whoever takes birth in the land of Bharatvarsha attains all the facilities of life. He may take advantage of all these facilities for both material and spiritual advancement and thus make his life successful. After attaining the goal of life, one may distribute his knowledge and experience all over the world for humanitarian purposes. In other words, one may take birth in the land of Bharatvarsha by virtue of his past pious activities, gets full facilities to develop a human form of life. In India, the climatic conditions is such that one can live very peacefully without being disturbed by material conditions. Indeed, during the time of Maharaj Yudhishthir or Lord Ramchandra, people were free from all anxieties. There was not even extreme cold or extreme heat. The 3 kinds of miserable conditions, Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika and Adi Daivika, the miseries inflicted by the body and mind itself, those inflicted by other living entities and the natural disturbances, were all absent during the reign of the Lord Ramchandra and Maharaj Yudhishthir. But at present, compared to the other countries on earth, India is artificially disturbed. Despite these material disturbances, however, the country's culture is such that one can easily attain the goal of life, namely salvation or liberation from the material bondage. Thus, in order to take birth in India, one must have performed many pious activities in a past life. In this verse, the word Lakshit Lakshanam indicates that the human body attained in Bharatvarsha is very auspicious. Vedic culture is full of knowledge, and a person born in India can fully take advantage of Vedic cultural knowledge, and the cultural system known as Varnashram Dharma. Even at the present time, as we travel all over the world, we see that in some countries, human beings have many material facilities, but no facilities for spiritual advancement. We find everywhere the defects of one-sided facilities and the lack of full facilities. A blind man can walk but not see, and the lame man cannot walk but can see. And the Pangu Nyaya. The blind man may take the lame man over his shoulder, and as he walks, the lame man can give him directions. Thus combined, they may work, but individually, neither the blind man nor the lame man can work successfully. Similarly, this human form of life is made for advancement of spiritual life and for keeping the material necessities in order. Especially in the Western countries, there are ample facilities for material comforts, but no one has any idea of spiritual advancement. Many are hankering after spiritual advancement, but many cheaters come, take advantage of their money, bluff them and go away. Fortunately, the Krishna consciousness movement is there to give
all facilities for both material and spiritual advancement. In this way, people in the Western countries may take advantage of this moment. In India, any man in the village, unaffected by the industrial cities of India, can still live in any condition and make spiritual advancement. The body has been called the city of 9 gates, and these 9 gates include 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, one mouth, a genital, and a rectum. When the 9 gates are clean and working properly, it is to be understood that the body is healthy. In India, these 9 gates are kept clean by the villagers who rise early in the morning, bathe in the well, river, go to the temples to attend Mangalarti, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and take prasadam. In this way, one can take advantage of all the facilities of the human life. We are gradually introducing this system in the different centers in our society in the Western countries. One who takes advantage of it becomes more and more enlightened in spiritual life. At the present moment, India may be compared to the lame man, and the Western countries are the blind man. For the past 2000 years, India has been subjugated by the rule of foreigners, and the legs of progress have been broken. In the Western countries, the eyes of the people have become blind due to the dazzling glitter of the material opulence. The blind man of the Western countries and the lame man of India should combine together in this Krishna consciousness movement. Then the lame man of India can walk with the help of the Westerners, and the blind Westerners can see with the help of the lame man. In short, the material advancement of the Western countries and the spiritual assets of India should combine for the elevation of all human societies.
Glories of Bharatvarsh is there. So although technologically we may be behind, but Andhu Panga Nyay, okay, by combining with Western countries, we can go ahead. And we can cause everyone to elevate in their consciousness. Okay. So now he is describing the city. So we can just read the translation.
That city was surrounded by walls and parks, and within it were towers, canals, windows, outlets. The houses there were decorated with domes made of gold, silver, and iron. The body is protected by walls of skin. The hairs on the body are compared to parks, and the highest parts of the body, like the nose and head, are compared to towers. The wrinkles and depressions in different parts of the body are compared to trenches or canals. The eyes are compared to windows, and the eyelids are compared to protective gates. The 3 types of metal, gold, silver, and iron, represent the 3 modes of material nature. Gold represents goodness, silver passion, and iron ignorance. The body is also sometimes considered to be a bag containing 3 elements, 3 dhatu: mucus, bile, air, kapha, pitta, and vayu. Yashatma buddhi kunapeti tridhatuke. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, one who considers this bag of mucus, bile, and air to be the self is considered no better than a cow or an ass.
Translation.
The floors of the house in that city were made of sapphire, crystal, diamonds, pearls, emeralds, and rubies. Because of the luster of the house in the capital, the city was compared to the celestial town named Bhogavati. In the city of the body, the heart is considered to be the capital. Just as the capital of a state is especially gorgeously filled with various high buildings and lustrous palaces, the heart of the body is filled with various desires and plans for material enjoyment. Such plans are sometimes compared to valuable jewels such as sapphires, rubies, pearls, and emeralds. The heart becomes the center for all planning for material enjoyment.
So,
in that city there were many assembly houses, street crossings, streets, restaurants, gambling houses, markets, resting places, flags, festoons, and beautiful parks. All these surrounded the city. In this way, the capital is described. In the capital, there are assembly houses and many squares, many street crossings, avenues and streets, many gambling places, markets, and places of rest, all decorated with flags and festoons. The squares are surrounded with railings and are divided of trees. The heart of the body can be compared to the assembly house. For the living entity is within the heart along with Paramatma as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvasya chaham vidhi sannivishto matta smriti jnana apohanam cha. The heart is the center of all remembrance, forgetfulness and deliberation. In the body, the eyes, ears and nose are different places of attraction for sense enjoyment. And the streets for going hither and thither may be compared to different types of air blowing within the body. The yogic process for controlling the air within the body and different nerves is called Shushmana, the path of liberation. The body is also a resting place because when the living entity becomes fatigued, he takes rest within the body. The palms and soles of the feet are compared to the flags and festoons.
Such a detailed. So, we'll discuss in detail tomorrow. I think this time is over. The interesting mind is compared to some storehouse, intersections. So, we'll go in detail tomorrow. Yeah.
One question was that in this text 15, the heart is there, no? Heart, does it mean contaminated consciousness, chitta? Where all the desires are stored for enjoying?
Yeah, heart in the 15th verse, no? Capital was state heart. Yes, that is the capital. All desires, contaminate consciousness is there.
And also previously you were telling this example, very nice example, comparison of Daksha and Prachina Parishad. And you said project-oriented mentality of Daksha, that he is unable to take advantage of this situation. So I was thinking that somebody who is honestly, wholeheartedly getting into a project for Srila Prabhupada, where is the line which he crosses? Because he ought to be responsible and dutiful to his project.
Yeah.
When it happens that he crosses the line and he just becomes project oriented, forgetting the life's mission and the purpose of Srila Prabhupada also, that we become Krishna conscious.
So, one has to be project oriented, but what is the project of our Guru? We should see that. So, Narad Muni was also having a project and Daksh is also having a project. Both are serving the project of Brahmaji. So, we should always have a bigger picture. What I am doing, for whom I am doing. Daksha wanted his son to get married. Why? To increase the population. For what reason? For getting delivered from this material world. And Narad Muni was directly doing that. So sometimes we do project, but we lose the sight, the purpose. Why I am doing this? So we become very short-sighted. So we should be global in that. This is a thing, globally, act globally. So he couldn't think globally. He was just thinking of his local project. So we should do project wholeheartedly, but at the same time we should not lose the global vision. Where my project fits into the global vision.
See, in this scenario, it was very obvious that Daksha is not understanding that the ultimate purpose of your begetting children is fulfilled by Narad Muni already.
Yeah.
Why you should be upset?
Yeah.
But in our scenario, sometimes it may not be so clearly obvious.
Yeah. Then we should, like Indra and Prithu, they got kind of that tassav. So Brahmaji intervened. So when we are not clear, so we should consult the higher authorities.
And also, Prabhuji, previous to that you were mentioning this culture of knowledge. Proper sadhana practices, they will fetch or bring that sambandha gyan in our heart. So I was thinking, why not just nice study of Srila Prabhupada's purport will serve the purpose? Why culture of knowledge?
It's culture of knowledge because it's not a materialistic knowledge. Just by going through the books, we can crack the exams and get some degree. No. It's by mercy. We have to follow certain culture. Shushush, we have to serve also. not just knowledge. So when we, with service, the knowledge becomes realization. So realizations will save us, not the knowledge will save us. We have this knowledge, I am not this body, I am the soul, but there is no realization. So realization will come by properly following the culture when we serve. So then this knowledge will turn into realization. Ajamil had not knowledge. Ajamil tried to save himself by knowledge, but he couldn't save. So we also have knowledge, we should not do like this, but still we do. So knowledge will not protect us, realization will protect us, culture will protect us.
So, Prabhuji, you mentioned the example of Jamil. I am remembering another example of Hiranyakashipu also, who preaches to his Bhabi and Mata. So he also had knowledge, but no realization.
No realization.
So then, can you please give some example or some explanation that what is the realization of this knowledge? That, okay, I can understand, okay, this has devotee as God, or I am getting now realization of this knowledge.
Like, similar, Ajamil saw one prostitute and he got deviated. Similarly, Narad Muni saw all those damsels in Alaknanda along with Nalkuvel and Manigiri. The other month is coming. Narad Muni was not able to. Those apsaras must be more beautiful than the prostitute. So he was not bewildered. He could see the facts of what they are. But because Narad Muni had realizations. Ajamil didn't have any realizations. Hanumanji went to Lanka in search of Sita ji. So he was into the palace of Ravana. He was looking at all the women in the night time in their bedroom. So he was not getting bewildered. Because he had knowledge, he had realization, so he couldn't be bewildered. But if we have only knowledge, no realizations, we will get bewildered. So the only knowledge will not help us.
So if temptations are bewildering me, that means I am still far away.
Yes.
Go back and follow the culture of knowledge more staunchly and strictly.
Yes.
This first canto, second chapter, at purport Prabhupada mentions that culture of knowledge in Vasudeva Paraveda verse, in which he talks about that in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, water is told as the culture of knowledge.
Yeah. So it's all knowledge. It's full package, 18 elements. It starts with amanitva, adambitva, ahimsa, shanti. Yes.
So that whole thing has to be
culture of knowledge. Yes, you're right.
So those things we have to practice.
Yes.
So that is.
And that comes automatically in our culture. Vaishnava Seva, hearing from the Vaishnavas, serving Vaishnavas, serving deities, taking shelter of the spiritual master. So if we all do all the things properly, the knowledge will become Vigyan.
So these things first I follow and then the realization.
Then we are following, simultaneously we are following on it. We are taking knowledge, that is also part of culture of knowledge, gaining knowledge, hearing classes, reading scriptures.
So the knowledge, it has to be cultivated or gained or learned in the whole package of following lifestyle of sadhana of the Ramanitva, all the package के साथ में लेना knowledge.
Yes, like we have a sadhana, we have sadachar, we have savadhyay, we have seva, we have sambandh, everything. It's not that I am reading very nicely but I am not having good relationship with devotees. So knowledge will not become Vigyan.
Knowledge will not become?
Vigyan.
Vigyan.
If I have good knowledge but I am not following sadachar, I am not having good chanting, nothing, so I am not doing any seva. So mere knowledge will not become realization. The whole culture is there. Okay.
Yeah, Prabhuji, it is mentioned here in this purport that King Prashanibharat, he used to sacrifice animals. So in order to save them from going to species of animal life and directly get to human birth. So what type of animals were sacrificed? Was there a category of animals or insects, or was it like for any sort of an animal or insect could be sacrificed?
I think The cows used to be there.
Okay.
Eh? Horses. So it depends, We'll have to go into details. It depends. It must be depending on the skills of the priest. They must be specialists also. Ashwamedha is only meant for horses.
Yeah.
That way.
Okay, it can't be a lower species of.
No, not lower species.
Okay, animals like cows or horses. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's it. That's what I'm aware of.
Yeah. Okay, and here again the other question, which was like Buddha came and he actually proposed the theory of non-violence, non-killing of animals, and he said the preaching of Vedas propagate that animal sacrifice is valid to a certain extent, like killing or eating meat, etc. So here we can say that of course he did for the good cause of saving animals. But in this case again, can we say that the Vedas propagate to eat meat eating?
No. This meat eating facility is there to ultimately stop meat eating. One has some propensity to eat meat, okay, you can fulfill this propensity by this kind of sacrifice. But by regularly performing sacrifice will get purified and he will give up meat eating.
So, but actually, according to the dictionary of Vedas, it is said that yes, it is said is right. To a certain extent, is correct. But it has to be stopped. But actually, here the philosophy of Buddha gets void because he says no animal killing. Right?
Yeah. So because it was for that specific time.
Okay.
Because people were misusing the Vedas, so Buddha came just no Vedas at all. Because you don't have intelligence to analyze the Vedas, no Vedas. Finished.
Yeah, Prabhuji, one more place actually, it is said, Prabhupada suggests that, one who wanted to eat animals, meat eating, he propagates goat killing of, eating goat to sacrifice in front of Kali.
Yeah.
So what is basically, how is that, the goat is being benefited?
Goat is being used, when the person used to kill the goat, he says, Masa, in this birth I am killing you, the next birth you will kill me. So goat is being sacrificed. So it is just, when repeatedly the person will say like this, Masa, Masa, Masa. So one day he will stop killing goat. In this way, the different levels of sacrifices are there. This is especially to facilitate one person's meat eating propensity. You want to eat meat, okay, then you can go for the lower animals. Kill goat. Goat is not getting benefited here. It's just to satisfy the person, human being. But that also is done in such a way that over repeatedly killing, he will stop killing. When he comes to know the meaning of this mantra, and the next life this goat is going to kill me, he will stop killing.
Yeah, Prabhuji, but there's a risk. He again has to become.
Yeah, there's a story.
And after goat, maybe not directly he can go to human being life. He has to go to other different species. So it's a long time.
It's a long time. It's very complicated.
So in the case of Daksha Prajapati, he got to know that his sons got delivered by Narada. Prachinbar, he knows?
No. Prachinbar, their sons didn't come back. They were under training only.
That can be one reason that he is more receptive for Narada Muni.
No, not that. He didn't even wait for his sons to come back. He was so I'll just, after this, in the 29th chapter, we'll see. He'll say, let my sons come back. Narada will say, what is it? I'm giving so much of lectures, still you're not getting renunciation. Why are you waiting for this? That's okay. Immediately left the kingdom. There was no king. He just left the kingdom. And later on, when the Prachetas came out, there were all trees all around. But there was no one there to take care of the kingdom. Then they burnt all the trees, and then they took charge of the kingdom.
So many times, even devotee parents, that when they got to know that ISKCON has taken their sons, initial time may not be
favorable.
Initial time they are unfavorable.
Yeah.
So because they got to know that my boy got into ISKCON.
Yeah.
So when they don't know that he is not brainwashed by ISKCON, but he voluntarily chose it, and they are not much bothered about things. They are receptive. They become receptive.
No, I don't know. It takes time. Some parents take to it, some parents still don't take to the Krishna consciousness. It's not that whether the son has chosen voluntarily or whether the ISKCON has been washed. The only thing is that our son has been taken away. The only concern is that. But gradually, if they are attached to the son and the son deals with them properly, they also become devotees.
So Prachinabarhi, naturally, he was very inclined to Narada Muni's.
Yeah, naturally. That was his quality.
In the 8th sloka, Prabhuji, the purport Prabhupada, he explained, Narada Muni is not contradictory, he says. I don't understand that statement.
Not contradictory means he is not contradicting the message of the Vedas. Because it is given in life. Then he said, Narada Muni can't act like Buddha to stop the Vedas. It is there. But he just wanted to save Prachin Parishad because it is a very risky process. Though it is recommended in the Vedas, it is a very risky process. That's why he showed him the picture. There's some discrepancies there, all these animals are there to take revenge from you. Okay, so thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Premanande. Sorry for delaying your prasad, but I got some prasad from Devi.